That was also like another special moment in my life, man. That's why I say you can never give up. Even if you do like a little bit every day, just throw a seed out there somewhere, and that's, I kind of guess that it's always kind of saved me. And Brian and I, all the time, you was at the boys club and all that stuff too, right? I remember, we have, I spent a lot of time with Brian, and when I think about Brian, I think about other guys too in the crew, Danny Kittredge, Brian Macy's, these are all guys, you hung around with and stuff, so it was a good time. And so I grew up in Haverhill, went to Haverhill High School, ended up, graduating from high school and ended up going to college, in Boston, Massachusetts College of Art. And, right out of school, I started designing shoes for guys like Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren, and, traveling the world, and moving down to Miami in 2002 at the height of my career, and just, hitting, rock bottom, and just had to pretty much start my life completely over, and pretty much it, and life has definitely been like a journey, and I guess, the first memory that comes to mind, so I went to Tilton School, then I went to Constantino, and I guess I've always kind of really dabbled, with like art and stuff, but I never really knew I had a talent until I was in high school. And this lady, for like, from before to like the rest of my life, I will always remember her, Mrs. Paradis, my art teacher in high school. She's the one that, she was pretty much a pivotal point in my life. She's the one that noticed that I had a talent. And, when I was in high school at the time, I was, I took art class, and, I think, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to school, high school. I wasn't planning on going to college, but, I was going through some stuff in high school, and I was working like on this piece, and she looked at it and said, Mario, I think that, you should enter that into a contest they have in Boston called the Golden Key Award. And, so I never thought anything about it. I was, so I entered this, painting into like a thing in, Boston, and I ended up winning the highest award you can get, which is called the Boston Golden Key. That was like, I think like the pivotal point in my life, where, of like coming, like just chasing, being a go-getter, and just actually, to be honest with you, just feeling good about myself.
What was the piece? What was the piece, Mario, that you submitted?
You know what, man, I hate to say it, but at the time, man, I was going through some depression at the time,
Sure.
and so it was like a very dark period of my life. And it was like a face coming out of like the canvas, and I was ripping up paper, and I put it all around. So it looked like there was like this face coming out of the thing. And, it was just, so it was a dark piece, cool. But she loved it,
Yeah.
And, so I put that into the contest, and I won like a Golden Key Award, and the crazy thing about that was, when I won the award, I actually had to go to Boston, and that was my first time to go to Boston, so, wow. But it was a nice piece. And I think that was like the pivotal point in my life where, like I said, you know what, I think I can be an artist. And then she also said, once I won, she's like, listen, if you want to get into art school, I can help you get into art school. And she's actually the one that helped me, like big time. And that lady right there, Mrs. Paradis, I love that lady, so.
What is, before like that, had you even like, she seems like she was instrumental. Did you ever think about as artists like a future at all?
Never in my life, man. When I was a kid, I have friends that always tell me like, oh, I remember you used to draw in class, and I got another friend of mine from high school, Richard Silver. And, he tells me all the time, I used to draw all the time. And, I never really, thought about it until like, just lately and stuff. But, I guess I used to kind of like always draw, back in the airbrush days when Bart Simpson was out, my brother and I used to kind of airbrush, so I kind of dabbled in art here and there, but I never thought in the future that I would become an artist, design shoes and do all this crazy stuff,
Sure. Did you, like, if you wouldn't have won that, do you think you still would have probably went forward with it? Like you would have had enough confidence as you did to push forward?
Oh man, listen to me, man. If it wasn't for my teacher, Mrs. Paradis, just telling me that I had, like a talent, if it wasn't for her, to be honest with you, I don't know where, I would have been, been today,
I see that you went to Mass College of Art and Design. So was that like one of the top schools that you decided on, or how did you end up there?
So I ended up there, so she said, she can help me get into school, and trust me, guys, I never even knew that I could even go to college, man. I didn't even know that I was even good at art, until I did that piece and I won. And so, she's like, I can get you into mass art, I can help you. And, I actually went for an interview, in mass art. And I guess it's really tough to get into that school. I think 600 people apply, like maybe 30 get accepted or something like that,
Yep.
And so I had to go, because I wasn't too good at like writing and stuff. So I had to take like a summer course. And then, when I was a senior in high school, so I was going to school full time senior. And then I was actually working full time from 3 to 11 in New Hampshire, like an electronics place, and, so working there, and I had like maybe like a month to, set up a portfolio. So I had to make a portfolio to present it to mass art. And I remember going up there, and, presenting my stuff, they accepted me into the school. And that was just a major turning point in my life, and, went to mass art and, I had to start earlier than everybody else in the summertime, take all these courses. And then I just pretty much started there at mass art in Boston.
Well, that's great because I mean, I have like zero artistic skills in my body. I'd be lucky if I could draw a stick figure. So I just find it funny that, that's great that you could do that. Now, when you went there, did you have an idea where you wanted to go from there after that? Did you have like a general idea that, because where you ended up now, was that where you wanted to go, or did you have some other ideas?
No, so the crazy thing was, I went to art school, I wanted to be a graphic design, and, so I wanted to be a graphic design. And, at the end of every semester, I think it was like the end of sophomore semester, I took a furniture design class. And I remember one of my teachers, she's like, listen, Mario, you should focus more on industrial design than graphic design. Because it's like, it's like a table that I built, I made it, handcrafted it. And it came out beautiful, She said my industrial design stuff was more stronger than my graphic design, So I studied industrial design. I switched over to industrial design. And then that's pretty much, New Balance came in, and I still was confused. I was about a junior in college, and I was still confused about what I wanted to do in life. And New Balance came in and to give us a project to design a basketball shoe. And I was only like a sophomore then, but I was in class with like juniors and seniors. And so when New Balance came in and they gave us this project, and I would go to class, and all the like seniors and juniors would have maybe 3 or 4 drawings. But their drawings would look like stuff that you could already see in stores, like Foot Locker. It's like they almost traced them. But I would go in with like 12, 15, 20 drawings, and I was hooked. But my stuff looked like alien stuff. I was just like out in the future somewhere, like just lost, But everybody loved my designs, And so that's how I got into the footwear industry. That's how I got into industrial design, because of New Balance. They came in and gave us a basketball project.
So was New Balance ever the ones that were going to hire you, or do they just...
So New Balance, I went over there. My first interview was actually with New Balance, and I didn't get the job. Of course, it was very depressing. I dressed up, took the train, to Lawrence, Massachusetts. I didn't get the job, but that was my first interview, was at New Balance.
Jump right into the shoe industry as you were finishing college and you knew that's what you want to do, specifically footwear?
So the crazy thing about it was this was the crazy part, right? So I started designing shoes, and then I got an internship at the Stride Rite Corporation while I was still in college, right? And then Stride Rite, they had the license for Tommy Hilfiger, So then, Tommy Hilfiger, they actually hired me while I was still in college, and they actually paid me full time. Well, I was only working part-time, but they paid me full-time to promise them that I was going to go there after college, So I actually got a sweet deal, and I started designing shoes right out of college for Tommy Hilfiger.
Nice.
I remember, I think we bumped into each other when you were in college and you had just got that job. I remember how excited you were, man. I don't remember, but I remember that was your first job, right? That was job number 1.
Yeah.
When you graduated. So kind of take us a little bit from there once you were working at Hilfiger.
Man, so like I said, life is crazy, but I say more, it's crazy because where we come from, Brian, we don't have no role models, we don't have mentors. I mean, I know, at least for me and where I come from, we never had mentors or nothing, so all of this is like, hit me fast, so I ended up designing shoes for Tommy Hilfiger. And I designed, shoes for him at the top when he was like, right before he came crashing down. I'm talking about 98, 99, early 2000. And it was just a crazy time. I was traveling from Boston to New York pretty much every week, and, staying like in the best hotels, was like just a crazy time. I got to meet Tommy Hilfiger like
Nice.
4 times. And, so that, and they really loved my designs. And the cool thing about Tommy was he was already tired of all the designs that the other designers are making, the designers are already designing stuff like the guys in college, stuff that already looked like what was in stores. And I was just, they actually wanted to start something new because Tommy's like, listen, I want something new. I'm tired of this. And they ended up doing like a category called advanced designs. And they gave that to me, like advanced designs, So back in 1997, I designed the first basketball shoe in the entire shoe industry without shoelaces, and then, I had super, like growth there. I went to China when I was like 22 years old. They sent me to China. And it was just crazy, going to China. I was going to Taiwan. I was going to Hong Kong. And
so when you were going on these trips, were you meeting with manufacturers? Like, what were you doing when you were traveling?
Well, there was 2 things, I would travel like domestically and international. They would call these like inspirational trips, so they would send me to like Hollywood. They sent me to Miami to kind of like look at the trend. They would send me to Japan, to like just kind of, look at the trend, see what people, Japan is so trendy. They're actually like probably 10 years ahead of us, And so I was going like on trend, trips. And then I was going to the factories, like a lot of the factories, like back then, like when, Taiwan, China, I was going to Hong Kong, Indonesia, Thailand, and that was my reason for going over there.
So Mario, how did you mentioned you had maybe you didn't have the structure that other people, I mean, I was lucky to have a structure. Maybe you didn't. How did you maintain your focus? I'm thinking when you're that age and you didn't have the role model, like how did you do it? Like what was that anchor for you?
You know what, Brian? Probably because I never had nothing growing up, man. Honestly, man, I come from like a big family. We struggled a lot, and I never had nothing. So when I'm sitting in a meeting, like it was like really like a dream. Like I'm sitting in a meeting, and there's like maybe 30 people in this meeting with Tommy Hilfiger. To everybody else in the room, it probably was just like a regular meeting to them. Like the presidents, executives. But to me, coming from nothing and looking at Tommy Hilfiger, the only thing I was thinking was like, man, I want to be like that guy. And like that's, so it was same thing with Tommy, same thing with Ralph Lauren, and I think that was my anchor was like meeting those guys, because I never thought I would ever, like design shoes and, travel and go to New York and stay in the best hotels and never, so I think that was my anchor, was just like coming from nothing and then just seeing everything like fast, Okay, nice.
Yeah. But going up until like you said it before, like you're in high school and you met this teacher, Miss Paradis, before you start getting into art, you said you talked about depression, some of those things, and you just spoke on a little bit now, some of the, you weren't used to having anything. And it's funny too, like you say, like I've never been into Boston and it's so weird. Like you find a lot of people that just haven't really gone out of the area that never mind leaving, like, going into North Andover, they haven't even, been too far other than that.
West of 495.
Yeah, exactly. So talk about some of those, things like what was your mind going through? Because obviously when you found that art passion like that, you said, oh, someone believed in me. Were there just a lot of questions like, what do I want to do in life? What am I doing? Maybe you can elaborate a little bit.
Man, not even, man. I just remember just feeling so happy, like when my teacher told me that she can get me into art school, it really didn't really hit me, until like, I went and, it was just crazy, man. I never expected, to my life to turn the way that it did, I mean, I was just like a normal guy, like everybody else, man, and, for my talent, and, it just got me to a place where I never thought I would get to,
Were you asking yourself questions during those times, as far as before that point, saying, hey, like, what do I want to get to in life? Is that why you were kind of, down?
You know what? Not even, man. I just always knew that I wanted something better, man, always, and, my mom's always worked, 2 or 3 jobs, all the time. And, my dad left me when I was 3 years old. And, you know, like I said, we never had mentors growing up. You know, really my mentor for me and my brothers and stuff, my cousins and everything was the street.
Sure.
You know, and you know, believe it or not, you know, just growing up in Haverhill, man, that's pretty much where we learned everything, man, was on the street.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be pretty exciting. Like when you finally hit that point when you do, like, I know we've already kind of gone back to this the art piece and like discovering that, but for you, it must have been like kind of like a chill over the body saying, wow, like I think I found something here, you know?
Yeah, you know, I've always been chasing something, man. I mean, just one thing too that I'll mention real quick was, you know, I'm kind of known too, like some people know this, but in Haverhill, I was a shoe shine boy, you know, and you know, I guess that's probably where I started, like you know, as an entrepreneur. You know, I was 12 years old. My mom, I don't know if you guys remember that store service merchandise. They used to have one in Bradford.
Yeah.
And my mom, for some reason, I have no idea why, she gave me a shoe shine box for Christmas. And I took that shoe shine box, and that was my first business, you know. And I used to walk around at nighttime, you know, by myself, 12 years old. Imagine that.
Wow.
Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. I used to go to the Chit Chat. I call it the Biker Bar. I used to go to the Greek Bar. All the bars in Haverhill, I used to always do my rounds, you know. And, you know, that was my first time, I guess, of, you know, chasing something, you know. And I would go to school, you know, like I would have, you know, the polish inside of my nails and stuff, but I had a pocket full of money, you know. So I guess that was the first time where like I kind of, you know, just chasing something. I don't know what, but I was chasing something. Ralph Lauren now, you know, my first meeting, and you know, this actually reminded me like of a movie, you know, like, so this guy calls me, the HR guy from Ralph Lauren calls me at Tommy Hilfiger. I pick up my phone one day, and you know, I guess, you know, he heard about my designs at Hilfiger and that, and he wanted to meet with me. And so actually, I felt like I was like a basketball player or something, you know. So the HR guy calls me. I go into Reebok because they had the license over there, and he's giving me an interview, and he's just making me feel good, you know. They're gonna double my salary, you know. After that, we're going out to lunch. He takes me to his house, personal life. We're like shooting some basketball, and he's like, Mario, you know, we need somebody like you for Ralph Lauren. And to just fast forward a little bit, and I'm glad you said that, we have a meeting at Ralph Lauren, and there's maybe about 30 people in this meeting, right? And I'm new to the shoe industry. I came from Tommy Hilfiger, but I'm still new. And Leslie Smith, who was the president at the time, she tells everybody in the room, listen, we have one more chance. If we don't get this right, we're going to lose the license. Reebok is going to lose the license, you know, for Ralph Lauren. And pretty much what she was saying was, just like Tommy, Ralph Lauren was tired of seeing the same old designs. They've had Reebok designers design it for them, Nike designers, Adidas designers, all kinds of designers, and they were ready to pull the plug, you know. So they gave us 2 weeks, you know. So I was the only designer at the time, and you know, like I said, you know, they had one more shot. So they hired a top-notch designer from Nike named Laurie, and a top-notch designer from Charlie named Charlie from Adidas, and they put the three of us together. They said, we have one more time, you know, one more chance. You guys go your separate ways, and you guys design what you think is RLX, you know, like, you know, Ralph Lauren, like top of the line. I mean, Ralph really wanted to be better than Nike. He wanted to be better than everybody at the time. This is about 2000, 2001. And so, you know, we went back, and, you know, I was scared, you know, I was like, man, I wonder what the other designers are going to do. You know, I can't see their stuff. They can't see my stuff. And I would say too, like this is probably like another pivotal point in my life where I was like, man, I felt so good, man, you know. So now we have a meeting in New York 2 weeks later, and, you know, we fly up there, and I remember the GM was sitting in the aisle seat. His name is Jim Torty. The GM leans over. He hasn't even seen my drawings yet. I got them all in the folder. And he says, you know, what do you think? He leans over. What do you think is RLX? And I told him, you know, something you haven't seen before, you know, like, you know, so, you know, something like, you know, that nobody has, Nike, nobody. And so we get up to New York, and we get into this elevator. We go up to the top floor of this building. And like Ralph Lauren does, everything looks beautiful. There's about 100 people there, catered food, and everything was just for us three designers, you know. And you know, so we go, and then we set up. We put all of our drawings up on the board, you know. And I was so nervous, man. I was scared, man. I was like, man, all these people. Plus, I'm going up with the veteran designer from Nike and Adidas. I'm going to get killed, you know. We put up these drawings up on the board, and And everybody was there. Everybody was there except for Ralph Lauren, his assistants. I mean, this was like forget it, like, like a power meeting, whatever, This was our last chance. If we didn't get this, it was over for everybody. Everybody was going home, no jobs, no nothing. We put up all of our drawings, and then Charlie goes first and he starts talking about his drawings, and then Laurie goes second and she starts talking about her drawings, and halfway through her presentation, the Leslie Smith, the president, gets up and stops the whole meeting. She's like, hold on, wait, before I lose my thought, she's like, I want to take off the board what I think is RLX. And she didn't know whose drawings are what because they were all mixed up. She goes up and she takes down 12 drawings and 8 of them are mine. And I couldn't believe it, man. I felt so happy. She took the 12 drawings. She's like, this is what I think is RLX. And, so fast forward, so 8 of them were mine. And they put me in charge of the Chill Runner 2000.